Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
I have 7 o'clock, so it looks like we've got a quorum. Let's call this meeting to order.
Okay.
We are now operating not under a state of emergency. What is the straightforward way of saying that? We're back to normal. So Rick is at the fire station, and we'll continue to figure out what we want to do as we go along. But thank you, Rick, for taking that on. And I'm delighted to hear it's cool down there. Any public comment? Go ahead, Guile. You're muted.
Okay, Laurel Green is the chair of the organization called Sustainable Rockingham. And so that group, along with Scott Pickup, have set aside a Blue Sky Week, the end of July. And she'd like to come to the next trustee meeting and talk about what Blue Sky is. It's all about family emergency preparedness and building home kits and how that's going to be advertised around the town. So she'd like to come to the next trustee meeting, and she'd be a better spokesperson than I in terms of Blue Sky Day and the emergency preparedness.
Any comments from the rest of the board?
Sounds good.
Okay, we'll put her
Can she
on.
do it in less than 15 minutes?
Yeah. You might warn her, Guy. That is the issue. And you know, it's good to be relaxed, but our meetings have been going pretty long. So just warn her.
Sure.
But I think it would be great to have her speak and tell us about Blue Sky Days. So,
Okay.
all right. I think we're on to the sewer rates.
Okay.
Carl, do you want me to share that document you sent to me, or should I give you the ability to share?
Which, maybe if you give me the ability to share,
Okay.
because I might want to flip to something else.
Whoops. So I'm going to make you the host. Hey, Matt. So you should have sharing privileges now. I think that's the way to do it, but
Yep.
Okay. This is the document you were talking about?
I think you sent me a PDF, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
Well, I might have. I happen to have the Microsoft Word version open, but so I have gone through with a lot of help from Ben, the sewer rate data sheet, and contacted the various institutional users, and figured as well as I could what the rates would be. So there was a big drop in what we call the EDUs, which is the equivalent to a household unit usage. So the number of household equivalents in the village. So if you look for the past 5 years before, it's been 350 or above. And the calculation that I came up with,
No plans to reopen the inn.
I just heard from Sarah today that she does not have any plan at this time to reopen the inn. That's correct. So we came up with a lower number of equivalent users, which means that the rate per user goes up. So we we calculate a number of household equivalents. So, for example, the inn is worth so many households, or VA is worth so many households, and then divide the budget up amongst them. The reason for that is that first, Sarah does not plan to reopen the inn. Second, that the VA staff count that I got from Vermont Academy is quite a bit lower than the one that Ben had done his preliminary calculations in. So he had figured 120 full-time equivalents of staff, and the number I got from VA was 74 full-time equivalents, 70 full-time and 8 part-time.
Excuse me, Carl, is that because of it just being summer, or is that an overall change?
That's an overall change. That's their payroll, annual payroll, or the people that they employ. I don't know how they handle summer versus academic year, but yeah, that's their total.
And
So
you've asked them about that?
did I ask them about summer versus?
No, did you ask them, do they have much fewer people working for them now? Or a lower student count?
No, I just asked to double check to make sure they weren't missing anybody, like that they had included all of their staff and weren't leaving out maintenance or anyone like that. And when I got back was, yes, we employ 70 people. So I don't know what the reasons might be. And I think that there might be somebody else that I might ask about that sort of unofficially. But I think, well, my feeling is that we had to go by what they told us they employed. I've asked Ben about the discrepancy, and he'll get back to me on Wednesday when he gets back from vacation.
So you're predicting that the tax rate, the sewer rate will go up?
Yes, I am. So if you look at the column that says fee, I calculated the effect of various fee levels. So we went up in steps over the last 5 years. So there was about a 50% increase between 2016 and 2017, and it was stable for 2 years. Then about a 20% increase the next year and stable for 2 years. It would be nice to have it stable again, but if we don't raise the rate, we will be short about $13,000, which would have to come from the sewer reserve. If we raise the fee to 710, which is about 2%, we would be $8,000 short that we would have to cover. In order to cover all of the budget without dipping into the reserve, we'd have to raise the fees by $40 to $735. And that seems to me like an awful lot.
Yeah, that does seem like an awful lot. Wow.
Matt, do you remember what the path was to the rate changes? I know that it had been structured to go up so much every couple of years, and is this, do you know if this is outside of that scope, or?
Well, yeah, it's always been worked between, the schools and the inn and Vermont Academy and all those numbers taken into account. I would say that obviously we're dealing with the fallout from the pandemic, and I believe that because we don't have metering, I think we should look into maybe quarterly numbers from these larger institutions. You know, Vermont Academy can project what they have for staff now, but come start of the school year, that might be different. And once we set it, that's it. So their numbers can fluctuate. The Saxons River School can fluctuate. The inn, I don't like the sounds of that it's not going to be reopened. But certainly that can fluctuate also. So larger ones, we might want to change something to help the whole situation. For Vermont Academy to drop from 120 to 74 staff, not sure. We don't have numbers for students.
Yeah, I do.
94 to 80.
It's about, it's roughly 50 day students and 150 boarding.
Right.
But if
So start of the school year and beyond that, I'm sure that's going to change. Things are certainly opening up. They're going off from numbers that they have at the end of the year or projections, but the actuals could certainly be a lot different, and certainly throughout the course of the year. Vermont Academy, Saxons River School, the inn would fluctuate in a good year.
So your suggestion then is to charge them quarterly and double check the figures each quarter?
I think given what we've just gone through, until we get back on a more stable footing, I don't see why not.
Well, it could bite us also, you know, if we have a resurgence and they close down halfway through,
Yeah.
and we're reassessing every quarter, we could find ourselves really in the hole.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We don't know the actual numbers. I have pushed over the years to, you know, a little bit more on Vermont Academy's numbers, you know, with youth hockey that goes on up there and all the events that happen up there. You know, they're our largest customer. And so if numbers are just set now, it certainly could change from September 1. I don't know how to deal with it, but
So Carl, what would you like from us tonight?
Well, how anxious are we to set a fee tonight?
I'd like you to discuss it with Ben, since he seems willing, and I know he's correct me if I'm wrong, remember how new I am to this process, but it seems to me that he's been the point person for the longest.
yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And he's the one that devised all these formulas and that provided the data that I'm working from. So I think that it would be prudent to make sure that I haven't made a gross error in following his calculations.
Yep.
I'm troubled by that big change in the FTE for Vermont Academy.
Yeah.
I don't.
And what's that based on as far as the numbers? Where they ended the year or their projection of the start of the year? Because it's kind of false if we just went through a pandemic and there wasn't a lot of people on campus. right?
Well, I think they had a regular year.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know, but
Right.
remember they
Well-
came and presented to us?
They've likely had a lot less international students.
Right.
Good point.
Yeah.
And you know, like all the other places were done, I think I'd be interested in pursuing what we could do with kind of Matt's suggestion, whether it's quarterly or biannually, looking at the commercial rates, you know, like I would really like to see the inn open back up. And if they do open back up in December, you know, halfway through the year, you know, can we at least put some sort of whether it's a reassessment, or can we give them some sort of a note that says, you know, we're going to reevaluate quarterly what your statistics are, and if they, you know, in case they go up, not if they go down.
Well,
You know,
I don't think we have a way to actually measure something like water flow, but certainly we base this on numbers of students, numbers of staff, numbers of people staying at the inn. So we
Right.
could keep checking on that.
Well,
I,
yeah, those numbers are based on something published by the state some time ago about the approximate usage for full-time employee, part-time employee, students, and so forth. That's where Ben got his formula. So, but yeah, there is no actual measure. DA measures what water they use, but nobody else does.
mhm.
Right. I get what I meant was like pretty much the same thing that we did now, is at least reach out to them and get some sort of a number of students and staff that they have, and adjust accordingly as time goes on. I agree. You know, I understand what Amy said, is it could bite us, but you know, it could cost us a lot more if it goes the other way too.
Well, I think
If
these are current staff numbers. I mean, they provided them to me on Friday.
Yeah.
This is what.
Right. So that's the end of the school year. They're not projecting what the beginning of the school year or halfway through the school year. I would assume it depends on foreign countries and how they get vaccinated and are able to move about.
Well, their student population may fluctuate. I would guess if they're not planning on making staff changes in the course of the year, that's just not the way academic institutions tend to work. You get a year, you're hired for a year and you work for that year, unless there's something catastrophic and the institution closes. But I would guess, I mean, I can reach back to Jeff and see. I'm not sure I understand what I'm looking for.
enrollment numbers for next year.
Yeah, well, this is the bill for 21-22, correct?
That's right. If that's their the student numbers that I have are their projected enrollment, 2021-22. The staff is the number they plan to hire for the coming year.
Before we miss it, I hope everybody saw Rob Wheeler had added in chat his calculation that the largest increase would be an increase of $3.33 per month for the individual household.
I missed that. $3.33
a month, $40 a year.
Okay.
Well, that's a good point.
The fees are already pretty high. It's raising it that much, pretty big bite.
Yeah.
Oh,
Over
what
10
was-
years, I could get a septic system put in. Actually, I think I have one.
It may cost you a little to get it up to snuff.
Maybe.
Well, It sounds to me like the consensus is that we need to do a little bit more digging before we set a rate. Is that correct?
I think
Yes,
so. Does the, and the rate, does that get printed? I know when we discussed the tax rate, we are also discussing printing tax bills. Does that get printed as a tax bill, the sewer rate? How do people learn?
That's a separate bill.
Okay. So it could be generated at a different time.
Yeah, but you want to hit, I would assume, the same mailing time as typical.
So we typically have them both at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, is everyone okay with that solution, that we'll continue this conversation in 2 weeks or at the next meeting? I didn't look to see, is it
That would be
2 weeks?
first meeting in July.
Yep,
So typically these bills go out in July.
yep,
So we should be prepared to make a decision then.
Mhm.
yep.
So if it's not violating any open meeting requirements, I will provide information that I get. I won't discuss it, I'll just provide what facts I get.
So again, do we want to look into some type of quarterly information from these larger facilities, or we're just going to stick with what we've done historically and set the rate, set the numbers, and let it happen? I mean, that's something to think about, before the next meeting.
Well, would you envision setting quarterly bills for everyone or quarterly bills for?
No, I just think these larger, these institutions that, yeah, it's always been kind of a funny thing with the larger ones because they can fluctuate quite a bit. Start of the year, part of the year, mid-year numbers can change drastically.
Yeah.
And it falls on everyone else to pick up the slack on that. I'm not looking to penalize anyone, just looking for everyone to, again, until we get back on a more stable footing, everyone to pay their fair share.
Well, the only problem I have with that is that we're trying to make the calculations at the beginning of the year to cover our costs for the year.
Right.
Um,
I know we haven't done this in the past, but obviously this is a different year.
Well,
So
I have asked Sarah, I have not got an answer yet for the balance in our sewer reserve account. And I think knowing how much of a cushion we would have to fall back on should there be a catastrophic, for example, should DA close at the end of the semester, it might make a difference in what we could afford.
yeah,
We could look into that, and remembering that has to cover a lot of other expenses as well, like our sewer covers for the paving project and so forth.
you're talking about the capital fund.
The wastewater fund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if nobody has a motion, I think we set the sewer rates. We count this as the beginning of the discussion, and we come prepared to make a decision in 2 weeks on July 5th.
Okay. All right.
Wait a minute. Let me make sure there's nothing else in chat. Rick says, I like quarterly review for non-residential, and fire trucks are making noise. Okay, good to know.
Now, as far as non-residential goes or commercial, we do have all the B&Bs and other commercial properties, so we need to think about whether we want to extend this quarterly option to all commercial, or whether we want to make arrangements for, I don't know, larger properties and how we define that. So I think those are all things we need to consider before next week.
Sounds good to me. Okay. Carl, if you're willing, could you make me the host again? Because I have some things to share.
Okay, will you tell me how to do that?
Yeah, if you,
Why don't I just stop sharing and see if that does it?
let's see, you are still the host. So if you click the tab that says participants,
Yeah,
click that. And then when you see Amy Howlett,
okay,
you click on more and you make me the host.
make you the host. Okay, you should be the host now.
Great,
And-
thank you.
I'm happy to be rid of the responsibility.
I understand. Okay, we are on to the tax rate. So I heard from the woman who actually arranges for our tax bills, and she would like to know, well, she is the tax collector. Why don't I just share this? Hold on, let me do that. Let's see, share screen. And see if I can make it a little bigger for you. Nope.
It's fun.
So Pam Willard writes, I am the tax collector for the town of Rockingham, and I also print your tax bills for you. And I usually do this on or before July 7th, a few days before Rockingham's. So I was wondering when you are going to be setting your village tax rate. I will need that information to do your bills. If you can let me know a date that I will know a tax rate and the due date you want on your bills, that would be great. June and July are very busy for me, so I'm trying to schedule everything. So this is a calculation above that Carl shared with me. So we actually, Carl, why don't you go over this? These are your figures, so.
Okay, well, the $59,450.75 is what we approved as the village budget to be raised by taxes. The $30,278,290 is what Louise gave me as the grand list for the village. So my simple-minded way, I figured that you take the amount that we have to raise divided by what the grand list value is, and that should give you the rate that we charge on the list value for taxes. That's how I understand it works.
Okay. Is it up or down from last year?
Up a little bit. I think it was 184 last year.
So it's gone from 184 to 196?
Don't quote me on the 184. I think that's correct. Remember that we did not have as much carryover.
Right. Right.
We didn't offset the budget with funds that weren't spent. We put them into reserves.
Mhm.
That's why it's gone up a bit.
So our task today is to set the tax rate. No. Yes, to set the tax rate. Do we need a motion to approve this?
Mhm.
Well, we had a motion a year ago. to do
Okay,
that. I'm not sure why we need one because we've already approved the levy and we have no control over the grand list, but we moved it before, so I assume we should do it again.
Good to have the formality of it, I think.
Yeah,
yeah. Would someone like to make a motion?
Ellen would.
I'm doing math right now, Rick. I make the motion to approve the current tax rate of 0.00196.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to set the tax rate at 0.00196. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see what's going on. It's hard for me to do everything. Oh, crud. Stop share. There we go. I
So
knew
is
it
the
was somewhere.
0.00196 a dollar amount or a percentage? I saw both there.
well, that's just the rate, the ratio. I think that it would probably be wise to give both the 0.00196 and the 0.196%, because I'm not sure how they look at rates. In the past, the minutes say that we set the rate at 0.184, not 0.00184, but I'm pretty sure that our tax rate is not 18.4% or 19.6%.
So you'd like the motion to be as the percentage,
I would say both.
all right?
So Ellen, are you willing to accept a corrected motion that includes not only the 0.00196, but the 0.196%? Okay, Matt, are you comfortable with seconding the motion?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor to set the tax rate at 0.00196 or 0.196%.
Do I need to restate that?
Nope. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Rob, are you raising your hand? Yes, you are. Great. So that's unanimous. And we need a date to have the bills printed.
What did she say before? It was,
She
she said,
just needs the information.
By July
Uh,
7th.
Right.
So we've said it.
She prints
so
our
just
tax
need-
bills. Yep, she prints our tax bills on or before July 7th.
Right.
And she also needs to know the due date on the bills. Does anybody know what that is?
wasn't it always typically in August? I can't remember. It was the first
We'd have
15th.
to pull up an old bill.
If I was home, I'd have one handy I could pull up. But
It's
Could you-
it's
could you run
it's
home?
30 days after.
Could you
print.
run home, Rick? I mean, I'm home, but you could run home.
I would say something like 30 days is pretty standard, isn't it?
they go out by July 15th and due by August 15th.
Yep. 30 days after the print date.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, so the due date on the tax bills will be August 15th. We can agree to that by consensus. Is everybody okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
great. So I'm still confused. I'm not sure. Does she also include the sewer rate on that same bill?
No,
No,
Two separate bills.
okay. And do they come in the same envelope?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, good,
And they typically have different due dates.
okay, great. Thank you. You'd think I'd know these things by now, and when I'm doing my taxes, I do, but not in between.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have a tax rate. It's been reviewed and approved, and we have when the bills will be printed. So I think I'll say July 7th. And when they are due, August 15th. Okay,
I'll never
we are,
forget the year I forgot to mail mine and Bill Harmon called me up. You know,
I'm gonna charge you interest.
yeah, your taxes are overdue. And I was like, they are? I know I wrote the check. I found it in the drawer.
okay, are we on to committee reports? Committee reports and updates. So we're going to do the wastewater treatment plant and then the fire station, if you want to let Dave know. And then on to the park committee. So the wastewater treatment plant. Rob, do you want to give us a little update? Anything we need to know?
No, the only update I have, you have the bid for the pipe insulation for the try to make the plant a little quieter. I tried to reach out for another pipe insulating company and didn't have any luck. So I don't know if anybody else knows of anybody else that does pipe insulation contractors. I'll take anybody and anything and anybody, but I reached out to a contractor and they didn't know of anybody that came down this far in Vermont that did pipe insulation.
So
So-
you don't have any bids for it? Is that
We have one bid, but
you know?
we don't know if we can use that bid because if we're using the bond money, if we have to get competitive bids.
Do you know what the insulation is?
It's comparable to the Roxol that I put on,
Yeah.
but it'll be throughout all the pipe from outside to inside to back out, back down into the floor. So it's going to cover everything and then have a casing on it. So we're doing it all. And that cost covers everything, including the plastic wrap of the insulation.
So the insulation goes on, it's plastic wrapped, and then there's a hard shell that's put around it?
Yeah, there's a hard plastic that goes around the insulation. Outside will have aluminum to protect the insulation from the weather.
Mhm.
So outside will have it insulated and then there'll be aluminum shield on top of that.
Hmm.
What's a little bit outside, so. And it's comparable to the Roxol as far as sound density and for the heat, so.
How much was the bid for? I haven't seen it.
I can share it. Do you want me to share it?
What numbers? If you're getting bids, I don't think we should be sharing numbers.
Yeah.
We only got the one bid.
If we can wait tomorrow at work, I'll look and see who did ours for our
Yeah.
last project and send you their name.
Okay.
And get a bid from them.
So
Yeah.
I think I'm not betraying privileged bid information if I say that the bid exceeds our $3,000 procurement policy level.
Okay.
It's a 2-page bid. And I will send you all the bid, but in particular you, Rick, so that you know what the scope of work looks like. So basically it says insulation of noisy air piping with 2-inch thick mineral wool with PVC jacketing on the interior piping. Exterior piping will receive 2 inches of mineral wool with 0.016 embossed aluminum jacketing and an aluminum 90 insulation will be installed per manufacturer inspections and by installers regularly engaged in the trade. PVC jacketing will be chemically sealed with perma-weld adhesive. So it's all labor and materials to complete the project.
Okay. Dave?
So this comes in the building, Rob, and then travels across and it goes down to 2 units or 3?
3 units.
3 units.
Yep.
So all the way to those.
3, yeah, and then it goes all the way over to, and then it goes all the way out to the other end of the building where it goes out into the influent part of the building, and then it goes out, it goes down to the floor, which goes out the holding tanks and up into the actual SBR tanks too. So we're gonna insulate all that. And
Yeah.
all the pipe inside will get it all to help with the vibration that I think travels back and
Yeah.
potentially goes back outside. So
Yeah.
that's encasing everything. And it's mechanical, what is it? It's North Country Pipe Insulators. They're out of is it
South
or North-
Burlington.
South Burlington or North Hero or something like that. So
Yeah, North Country Mechanical Insulators,
Insulators, yeah.
NCMI.
so that may be who did Rick's, because they're the ones that kind of do everything in the state for everybody.
Mhm.
Yep, it's quite possible.
Yep. So, and the other thing I have here is they're starting this week to raise the structures for the
The
paving job.
manholes.
Yeah, the frames and covers. So I'd like to get a half a dozen of them or so, just in case. The plan is to reuse the old ones, but
Right.
in case they break them, we need to have some on hand.
Yeah.
And I got a couple of bids, one from EJ Prescott and one from Ferguson,
Yeah.
and would just like to get a half a dozen. Ferguson was the cheaper bid,
Hmm.
and just like to move to get a half a dozen. And with the understanding we don't use them, we'll send them back. And everybody's okay with
Is
that.
there a restocking fee?
No.
Nope.
No, because
Where's,
I've told
Where's
them up.
Ferguson out of?
where are they at West Lebanon.
Westland?
Yeah.
So you have 2 bids, and I'm going to
Yeah.
guess for 6 covers and frames, we're not exceeding $3,000.
No, it's
Okay.
$407 for EJ Prescott for a set of one set. So 400, roughly 400 times 6. Do the math. 2,400, and then you're looking at 300 for Ferguson times 6. So you're gonna save $600 by going with Ferguson.
Okay.
You ever deal with weed?
No, never heard of them.
White River Junction?
Weed or reed?
Weed.
No. Is it weed steel or is that just weed?
No, it's weed. I forget what it is. But
Well, email me the info. I'm
Right.
always looking for a new lead.
yeah.
Yeah, and these will be American steel too, not the Indian steel.
Mhm.
Town doesn't like that. So if it's okay, I'd just like to move forward because it's going to take 4 or 5 days to get some iron here. That's the other problem.
So typically, you know that some of them don't make it. That's why you want to have them on hand.
Yeah. I just want to have them on hand. I'm hoping that they reuse all of them. Andy's thinking that there's like 20 they got to redo.
Mhm.
So they
Chances are.
everything they've ground, they're going to try to grind around them and just pave around those, so they're not going to reset them.
Mhm.
So it's not going to be as many as we had budgeted for.
Great.
So
That's
that's good. Yep.
Yep.
And then I was talking to Andy today, and he thought that there was looking to be like 20 of them to do. So hopefully they're careful enough to take them off and reset them. But like I said, there's no guarantees.
Right.
There could be some broken ones when we take them off anyways. I know they've already, the grinder got one of them on Academy Ave. Andy told me he had to he borrowed one of ours at the wastewater, at the highway garage. So we'll just have to replace it. So if we do get 6, 5 only might go back. So might have to
Okay.
buy one just to replace the one we used already.
So it sounds to me like we need a motion to go forward with this, perhaps not to exceed $2,900. Sounds like you're going to do it for a lot less than that, Rob.
Yep.
Will that cover you? Does that give you enough
I hope so.
leeway? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's like I said, that's the plan, but
Yep. Is anybody interested in passing such a motion?
Helen is.
No, it keeps doing that to me.
great instinct, Ellen. We're trying to bring you along, whether you want to come or not.
Well, I'm making all these notes with questions that I have because I'm like, why do we do this? And why do we do this? So,
Let's stop and ask some of the questions. I mean, that
How
is
do we do
always
what?
valuable. Let's not go any further with the motion. Ask some questions.
well, no, it's comprehensive. I've been building notes throughout the meeting about questions that I have. But the questions, I don't know if they're dumb or not, and what I should know and what I shouldn't know.
No.
So
Just ask away.
There are no dumb questions.
I don't know about that. So just for clarification, we're talking about with the street right now. Are these the manhole covers?
Yes.
All right, so I did understand what you.
Yeah. The manhole covers that say Saxons River on them.
Yep.
The sewer ones. Yep. We're just responsible for doing the sewer ones. The town does the drainage,
Storm drain.
the storm drain ones that are typically on the side of the road.
Okay.
So, but we're responsible for the sewer. The village of Saxon River is responsible for the sewer ones.
Okay.
So,
It's not the manhole cover itself, it's the riser, right?
well, I'm getting frames and covers because you don't know, you can't put the covers.
An old cover
When
on
they
a new
did
one.
it back in the day, it's an odd size. It was, I
Yeah.
don't know, I guess they must have had, I don't know what you want to call it. The foundries must have had salesmen come out and say, hey, we can put Saxons River on the cover and it's 26 3/4 inches and it's all special. Now it's just set where it's 26 inch or 24 inch or 30 inch and it's just a lot easier. But yeah, back in the day, they had salesmen with foundries because they were local foundries. So they came out and sold them. So Bellows Falls had them on it, or the date was put on the covers, which kind of is nice, but it just doesn't need to be that much anymore. So, yeah.
Ellen, something you probably didn't know, this came up, Rob came to us early on before annual meeting and warned us that this would probably be happening. And as a board of trustees, we made the decision that obviously this is important and we would take the funds for these covers and frames from the capital fund. That's exactly the kind of thing it's meant to cover.
Okay.
So,
And there's labor involved. There's labor involved of installing them too. So not just the frames and covers, but there'll be a cost of raising them up.
And that too comes from capital fund?
Yeah.
So it's for end materials?
Yeah.
So do you want me to pass some motion?
yeah, I would suggest a motion to approve an expenditure for, what did you say, Rob?
Frames and covers
How many?
up to 2,900. I don't know.
No.
Yeah, that was used.
I said six sets would be 1,800.
Yeah.
Not to exceed 2,900.
$2,900, yeah.
Right.
I suggest that just because of our procurement policy and to give
Yeah.
you a little leeway if, out on the street, you suddenly realize that, yes, Ferguson is cheaper, but there's a reason for that and you're not comfortable with it. So go ahead, Ellen, sorry.
So I approve a motion to approve frame and covers not to exceed $2,900.
Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
It's been moved and approved to spend no more than $2,900 on frames and manhole covers for Saxtons River. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and anyone
Rick,
opposed? That
where
was
the heck are you?
unanimous.
Up here to the side. Dave's here with me, so I'm letting him watch too.
Great. Okay, anything else on the wastewater treatment plant?
No, I had one thing for Carl or anybody, I guess. What about the mold abatement? Is that still up in the air or where are we at with that?
Did we not move to approve the mold abatement subject to
The Surf Pro contract.
Yeah, Servpro. We moved to approve it subsequent to USDA saying they would cover it in the grant. So we're waiting
Okay.
to hear that.
Copy that. Okay. And we're still haven't got a key. We're still working on that lock set for the garage.
Good.
We still don't have a master key. And they need a master key to set the key lock in the thing. So I don't know where we're going with it, but I've turned it back to Kevin and told him that there is no master key. All the locks were ordered at the same time, key to like. That's what the company told me. So I don't know where it's at there.
So are you comfortable with 2 keys?
I guess.
It's not ideal, obviously,
Rob,
but
how about putting in the push button one?
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, right now we're just using the garage door opener. We don't even use the side door.
So why not just do,
We can do a push button. That's fine too.
yeah, and you just set it to whatever you
Yeah.
need to and go from
Yeah,
there.
we'll set it to the basic code. You remember, Matt?
Okay, thank you.
so by push button, you mean a combination lock?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, why don't you
Okay.
just do that?
Can you convey that, Rob? I don't know what happens. Do you take it
So
over now? And
Kevin needs to supply that.
Right.
Yeah, so get one that's commercial grade and
Does you guys want to bring that from the board to Kevin to tell him you want a commercial grade key punch lock for the garage door?
are we changing the specs of the original bid?
That it's gonna be about between a $400 and $600 lock is my guess.
no, come on,
No?
now. Come on now.
Oh,
Who's this? Who's the Effect TV?
No,
Have you
just get
priced
one
them,
that-
Matt?
Yeah, they're not that much. No. Okay, so not commercial grade.
Well, I bought 2 from McMaster Car in the last couple of years, and they were about $400 a piece.
Well,
I'm happy to be proven wrong. I like it when people do that.
I might just do that. I'm gonna make a note.
Prove Rick wrong.
Yeah, prove Rick wrong.
All right, it sounds like we go as we are until next meeting, and let's try
Yeah.
and resolve it by then.
No, I just Googled it real quick, and you can get them for like $50 to $100.
Oh, really?
It's chip, Ellen. Chip buys the expensive ones.
I
Well, we don't-
was gonna say it was something work related as to why it was so much more. So
Yeah, that's all that needs to happen, really. We gotta wrap this up. This is a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we wanted them keyed the same, and
Yeah,
Rob followed our interest, and it's just taken a while to
yeah.
discover that it isn't apparently possible.
Oh, it's possible. You could get Dick's Lock.
Of course it
Centers
is.
way up here to do it.
But
It's easier just to go this route. That way, Rob can give like the fire department people access without giving them keys to the rest of the facility.
yep.
Okay. Everybody happy with that consensus?
Yeah, so what are we doing? Anything with it? Am I gonna pick, you want me to order one and bring it to Rob or what?
That sounds
Michael?
great. And I'll let Kevin know that we're all set. And
Shouldn't
submit
Kevin
the
have-
expenditure to me, Matt, and I'll make sure you get reimbursed.
shouldn't
No,
Kevin-
no, Kevin needs to supply it. It's part of the project. So they're pretty easy to come by. You can drive down to Perkins Home Center and pick one up off the shelf. So I would say, contact Kevin and tell him to pick one up and install it. And
Okay, I'll contact Kevin.
Good.
We are up to the fire station. Last meeting, we decided that we did want to paint the fire station and that we anticipated because of building issues and other issues that we are probably 2 years, 1 to 2 years away from a new fire station. If anybody wants to contradict me, that would be great, but I think that was the consensus that I heard. I would caution people not to use dollar figures at this point in case we need to go out to bid. So we don't want to show anyone's hand.
Mhm.
Dave, you're here. Do
I'm
we
here,
put
yeah.
you on the spot?
Fine. Sure. So I had a couple ideas. I mean, it has to be totally clean. It's filthy. And that would entail knocking off a lot of paint chips when it was being cleaned. I think this top front eave could probably be left. You know, it doesn't have to be a top of the line, perfect trim job and everything, because we want to save money and it's not going to be there forever. And I think it should be red. It's a fire station.
The trim or the whole
The
building?
building. Yeah, I think it should be red. And I think the red might not show the dirt so much. I mean, it's ugly as sin, right? I mean, and I'm sick of riding my bike by it.
So-
Anyway,
just-
my bid is, I think it can be done for a lot less than that. And
Okay,
I don't mind putting a figure out there and having another contractor saying, I can do it for $1,000 less. Go for it. You know, let's just get it done. I don't care who does it, but I'd like to get it done. My feeling would be to, I don't usually power wash things, but in this case, it makes sense. The far west side over the doors, there are a lot of cement blocks. They're painted. They look pretty good. Some of this stuff on the east side, get by with. I think it could just be done in a way to do the basic things and make it look a lot better. So my first bid was kind of a perfect job, and I think it could be done for almost half that.
that sounds great to me.
So as far as pressure washing, you know, I know we have to protect what comes off from there. So if a bunch of tarps were put around the building, and I think we have inside the building some pressure washers. Couldn't there be an activity with the fire trucks to clean the building?
Those are pretty big pressure washers, aren't they? Fire
Well,
truck.
I think they might be able to tone it down a little bit. But
Well, yeah, I didn't think of that, but I mean, certainly that's a pretty good idea. They're right here
yeah,
and they put out a tremendous amount of water.
I think you could do it tonight.
I mean, can you got to get a lot of dirt off with I don't, and again, I usually wash buildings by hand. So if the fire truck would get a lot of the dirt off, I think that would be great.
So that sounds like a conversation with Art Smith. Why don't
Yeah,
I have,
I don't-
I can have that conversation, or if some of you know him, that would
If
be
you,
fine.
I mean, I'm happy to talk to him if nobody wants to do it on the board.
Okay,
I mean, otherwise, I think it would cost about $900 to get it pressure washed. I mean, it's like Matt says, it's going to take some time to clean up the chips. And a pressure washer is going to put them all over the place. I don't think there's much lead on the building. So I don't really think that's an issue. Lead paint hasn't been used since about 1968. It's had a lot of crappy paint jobs between here and there. Part of the problem was it was painted over dirt too many times and never cleaned. So that's part of the problem. But anyway, this is going to be a basic thing. 3 to 5 years, be great to get a new fire station.
Yep.
But just make it look presentable.
Yep.
Rob, Rick, I'm sorry, are you still willing to put together a bid?
Proposal, yeah, I thought I sent it to you. I put together a brief one just based on the information that Dave gave.
Okay.
And I just,
But
I wanted, my guess, and I don't know, Matt, Dave both do this kind of, are both contractors, and everybody I've talked to lately, people are like, December, maybe I can come look at it, or next August, I might be able to get around to it. So that was my, like, if Dave's got time, the procurement says that there are reasons we can forego based on, I forget what it was. I sent you the language and, but I have no problem sending it out to a couple other people and saying, here, if we're going to send it out, we might as well send it out for the whole boat of doing a nice job.
Yeah, I think typically we,
It's hard to put a scope of,
Well, it's a really tough one, you know, apples to apples, oranges to oranges. Maybe I should go back and say exactly what I think needs to be done, and then people can bid on that.
okay.
that sounds great.
In Matt, it's really hard to put plastic out 10, 12 feet from the building. I know, because you took the lead course, I did, and the first thing I said to the guys teaching the course, so I have to put a ladder on a slippery piece of plastic and then wash a house.
I
He
know.
says, well, just put holes in the plastic. I said, well, now you've defeated your whole purpose because all the paint chips go through the holes.
That's right.
So we do have these lead problems. Like I said, I don't think this has a lot of lead, but anyway,
So if
I
we
mean,
could
maybe
just,
Chris, Chris Morrow might,
tarps
Chris Morrow
around
might want to
and
bid
have
on
them
it.
spray it with the fire truck, it may help the process.
Sure.
May help the process of rebuilding because the
Well,
fire
especially
truck might
since,
knock it over.
Yeah.
So I'd also like to have in mind a date by which it's done.
well,
What do we think? End of September, end of October?
I did know that was part of your email to me. And it was a very good question because I'm swamped. So is Matt, so is every other book. I mean, what if I just said by the end of this painting season,
There you
which
go.
normally is November 15th.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
I'd like to, it's down the street Sunday morning, anytime that I had a little time, I'd like to just peck away at it and just try to get it done. So that's okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
So Dave's gonna
Okay.
rework his numbers.
So I'll rework the numbers. I'm gonna look at this and say exactly what we need to do. There might be some places we can omit because this isn't gonna be here forever.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think, Carl and Matt, you'll know the answer to this. Do we typically publish the bid in the Brattleboro Reformer?
I think so.
Yeah, that's our future.
Yep.
If I bid this job at $4,200, my phone is never gonna stop ringing.
Well, you shouldn't have said that.
Oh my God.
Okay, so Rick,
From cut clients or,
People wanting their houses painted, you'll do that. All right,
Rick,
sorry.
you will work with me to get the bid. You'll work with Dave and then we'll get the bid, we'll publish it and we'll ask for a very quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Do we have to let it go for a month?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think.
You just said a ton.
Okay, a week.
Yeah, I mean, and I
You
think
have to be in
it's already
2.
June 20th. It's like, get it out there to bid
Yeah.
quickly because
Yeah.
you don't want to wait till July 20th. Just get
Right.
it out there. I'll get this to Rick in a day or two.
Okay,
We talked about our procurement policy and it's pretty loose and free for the most part. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility there.
I mean, it would be great to have 4 or 5 bids. Super, good.
yeah, I want to make sure that we don't piss anyone off locally.
No, good.
That's
Give
my
Give
concern.
everybody a chance to bid on it.
Okay, I think
Okay.
we have agreement on
Thank you.
that.
Thank you, Dave.
Is there
Thanks, Dave.
anything else on the fire station? Thanks so much, Dave.
Oh, you're
Is there
welcome.
anything else on the fires? Oh, we have to talk about the red. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, I think that's a good color.
Yeah,
Sure.
I
Okay,
don't care. Ask Art. Red with white trim.
No, that adds too much money. I mean, there can be a little
Red,
bit of white
everything
trim.
red.
Maybe some white trim around the windows or something, but there can't be a ton of trim or this job becomes
Really expensive.
complicated.
Right.
okay. Yeah, I believe the statement that I walked away with at the last meeting was lipstick on a pig. So,
Yeah.
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 okay,
Sounds good.
Saxons,
All right.
are we all set?
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
I'm keeping an eye on the clock tonight. I'm so eager to have a shorter meeting. Okay, the Saxtons River Park Committee. I don't know if you've noticed, but we are being routinely mowed. And people are going down and weeding, which has been great. Peggy Dougal and Margaret Vandenberg took that on themselves. And I think we're just about there for the committee. I need to send out another email, but it looks like there will be a committee to deal with policy questions as well as willing volunteers to come in. And I'm already hearing suggestions about having Julie Moore-Maservi come and meet with the weeders and give them some ideas on what she intended. So I think we're off to a good start on that. Do you need anything more on the park committee? Okay. And we are up to minutes for approval from June 7th. Do you want me to share those, Carl?
I don't need you to.
I read them.
There have been a couple corrections suggested to the minutes that were sent out to you. The last ones, which I sent to you today.
Do you want to review those corrections?
Well, the one correction you haven't seen is that Ben wanted it to be clear that he had not submitted an official budget report to USDA. And what he suggested was what should I say, a preliminary report just to ensure that the items we had on there were grant eligible, and that the MBR will have to come from the board and signed by trustees.
I'm
So
sorry, the MBR?
Monthly budget report
Okay.
for the grant.
So the corrected minutes show that?
The corrected minutes show that, yes. Just a second, we corrected. The corrected minutes say Ben Wallace forwarded the proposal of expenses for a corrected MBR to the USDA to close out the grant, the WWTP grant. If USDA approves the expenses, trustees will submit the final MBR 14. Proposal includes a request for funds to cover the second ServPro quote for surface cleaning, and then went on to the motion to accept the proposal contingent on the USDA approval. The rest
All right.
as you've seen.
So I'd like a motion to approve the minutes of June 7th, 2021 as corrected.
So made.
Is there a second to that?
Second,
It's been moved and seconded to approve the corrected minutes of June 7th, 2021. All in favor, raise your hand. And it's unanimous. Great. Okay, warrants and bills for approval. I have a couple of two extra things, I think. So I want to show you that. So new items. I think I had the J&H fuse puller on the wrong thing. So it's still $6.49 down on line 16, line 15, but just so you know. I also have added an invoice for Carl Ball, who purchased a flash drive to keep the Zoom audio recordings. That's something that we were required to do during the special COVID-19 Zoom meeting period. So Carl is maintaining that. I will point out to you a couple of things. Carlos Mortensen is now mowing the park. That represents 4 times. He's actually mowing the park and the circle. The fire department belongs to a Windham County Fire Association. So those dues came due. That was $50. There was a fee paid to the Rockingham Town Clerk, check number 2243 for the liens, which have been filed. The usual sludge tests, this is something you're going to see periodically. I'll pick on you, Ellen. This is something you're going to see periodically, Ellen. So I've given you the information there. They're different tests. If anybody wants to look at any of these bills, I have them, and typically I run them up. We also have our dues, $950 to the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. They are our, I don't know what to say, the people who advise us.
They're a legal advisor.
Yeah.
And don't we get some insurance from them?
Yes, and that is a separate contract. Yes, our passive insurance comes from them. There are 3 VTEL bills. They all came in, and 2 and 1 Casella bill for hauling away sludge. That's the June 1st invoice. So it comes to a total of $5,079.97.
Can we back up to number 11,
Yep,
which is
Ken Beebe.
the rec area? We have
Yep.
a highlighted donated labor.
Yes,
Could someone send a thank you to Ken Beebe? Or Sheldon, I should say, for his donated labor.
what a nice idea.
Back when I was involved in the rec area, he was always very helpful.
I'm happy to.
Yeah,
Great.
please do. It's so helpful, and he has a lot of knowledge of the area, and has donated considerable amount over the years to keep things going there.
Yeah, I
Make him cookies too, Ellen.
All right.
No,
Okay.
seriously.
Yeah, I like that.
Well,
gonna
what about
leave that up to
beer?
Ellen's discretion.
Do you want to make a motion?
What about the beer that Paul makes? How's that?
That would probably be good.
Does he like beer?
I believe he does.
I'll check with him then.
I'll send you a scan of the bill, Ellen. Since you taught me how to make scans, I'm going crazy with them.
Oh, good.
So I'll send you a scan so you can see exactly what he did. This looked to me like the routine reopening of the
Mhm.
rec, you know, making sure all the toilets work, making sure all the sinks work, cleaning off rust, you know, the usual thing. So it looks like a total on the warrant of $5,079.97. Is there a motion to approve the warrant?
So I move we approve the warrant as presented for 15 invoices with a total of $5,079.97.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the warrant in the amount that Carl just read. All in favor, show by hands. And it's unanimous. Great. Okay, is there other, I don't think there are other warrants or bills for approval. Anybody sitting on anything they need to share?
Nope.
Okay, let me go back and look at my secret note file.
No.
I think, nope, I'm good. All right, is there any other business?
Next meeting, time, place, date.
And volunteer to be at the fire station. So it's July 5th. Does that work for everyone's schedule? It's a Monday night at 7 o'clock, and we need a volunteer to go to the fire station.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so has he checked with the Vermont League to make sure that we're still okay to meet like this?
We are now meeting under the old open meeting law,
Okay.
which says that you can meet electronically as long as you announce a physical place and have someone present at that place.
Okay. So just fair warning, if there's more than like me and one other person on my little iPad here, it's gonna be kind of a, I'm not sure what we have to be able to show anyone who shows up here the meeting. If all they do, we should check, make sure all they need is like audio. If they can hear what's going on, is that sufficient?
Oh, instead of having video too.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I will confess to you that I've of course attended many meetings which included electronic participation. And in the times before COVID, there were always a bunch of people around the table and one person phoning in. So it is a little bit different. Why don't we keep as we are and we'll see what happens. Are people still okay with meeting primarily by Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay, and I think we used something in the wording on the agenda. I have it right in front of me. Location online or Saxons River Fire Station. Did you say something, Carl, when you sent it out to the effect of there's limited space?
Yeah, in the email that went out, I said something to the effect of that we would recommend that you attend electronically if you can, because there's limited space at the fire station. Something
Okay,
like that.
I'll get that wording on the agenda next time. Are people okay continuing to meet primarily by Zoom?
Yes,
Rick, are you okay being the volunteer next time, or would you like to have it passed around?
I
The
don't, doesn't
volunteer
really
at the
matter.
station. Okay. Well, if
Rick,
you're
maybe
willing.
see you next weekend. I mean, next time.
I'm sorry, what?
I'll go to the station with him next time because I don't think I've ever been in there.
Okay.
It's not very pleasant, Ellen.
Take a tour.
If you had to,
Well, like-
if you had to shower when you got home from Maine, you might have to shower when you get home from here.
Well, I mean, like, do you have a key to get in?
I
I
have
mean-
a key and I'll give it to whoever. I gave it to Rick today to take down and get in. And you were successful, which is impressive. You have to kind of wiggle it, don't you?
Yeah, and it was it's a good thing I don't give up easily.
I had the same feeling. All right.
about the keys.
So we have a date and a time for the next meeting. I see,
Carl's trying to say something.
Carl.
About keys. Every one of us had a key to that lock, that door.
Yeah.
So Ben and Louise presumably still have theirs.
I have Louise's key.
Okay, well, those could go to Rick and Eleanor. We could get copies made, but
Yep.
every one of us had a key in case we needed to get in to go up to the second floor to get a record, and that's a trip you don't want to make. So I think
So
it would
we
be a
need-
good idea to get either to get the keys returned and redistributed, or else just to have duplicates made.
I have
Okay.
like, yeah, I have several sets of the rec area keys from when I was on the board, just hanging up. If anybody wants any of my keys.
Are you going to be talking to Ben anyway, Carl? Could you ask him
Yeah.
about his key?
Yeah, I'll be talking to him on Wednesday or Thursday when he gets back.
Okay,
So do you want these back, Amy, until
I
for
do.
2 weeks?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but Art leaves invoices for me and I need to be able to get in and get them.
Okay. Oh, I thought you said
Um,
you had. I thought you said you had Louise's keys.
Those are Louise's keys.
All right, but you didn't have your own keys. Okay.
I did not.
Didn't have your own key, Amy?
Nope.
I'm gonna
Maybe they
throw
only
them-
give you after you've been on for a year or so. I don't know. I wasn't aware of anybody.
No, everyone should have a key to get in the door.
It was pretty much thrust into my hand without my asking for it, so.
We could get one of those digital number locks.
There is one on one of the doors.
Yeah, we don't know it.
Okay, executive session if necessary? No
Motion
need?
adjourned?
Motion to adjourn.